Hello and welcome to the tutorial on how to draw a castle. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a layer. As always, get into that habit. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to select our shapes tool here at the bottom. Make sure you have ellipse selected from the shapes and that your type of shape is the empty outline, not the filled shapes. Okay? We're going to look at the screen and I'm going to draw an oval across the bottom part of the screen, right down here in this corner. You can make it about that wide. So just to give you an idea, I have a width of 1,000 across my screen. This oval is roughly 200, maybe a little bit more than 200. So I'll make it 200 just to be even, okay? Just like that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my selection tool and I'm going to select this oval and I'm going to go Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste. Now you can use your control commands here. You can see Control C, Control V, and I'm going to move this up. I'm going to take this pasted version of itself and put it directly overhead. Now I'm going to take these little side movers, or I'm going to take this corner one and I'm going to shrink it down just a little bit. And I'm going to move it over the center of the bigger one down below. Now, when I'm done with that, I am going to hit Control D, that is to deselect everything. And I'm going to select my line tool. And I'm going to draw a line from the very top corner of this one down to this bottom corner of this one. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now remember, a castle is not a perfectly symmetrical thing. You're talking about a big building made out of stone by hand, so if your lines are not exactly perfect, don't worry about it. It actually adds to the authenticity of the building. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my zoom tool. Now to zoom in, I can either select an area like this, or I can right click to zoom in. To zoom out, I just left click. So left click zooms out, right click zooms in, or I can select the area that I'm working on. Now in this case, what I want to do is I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to erase this lower line of my ellipse. So I'm going to start here and just do like that. See how I've removed this line, but I want to make sure that the top part and this vertical line that goes down are intact. To make it easier, I'm going to increase my brush size from 2 up to 7. Just keep in mind, you should always remember when you switch brush sizes, just make sure you keep a mental note of what that brush size was in case you need to go back and draw with it again, which in this case we will. So I'm going to erase this line, just like that. Okay, now I'm going to zoom out again by left clicking, and I'm going to zoom in on the lower one. Now in this case, I'm going to erase the upper line. So I'm going to erase this back line here like that. Okay, just like that. And now I've got what amounts to my basic tower shape. The next thing I'm going to do after that is I'm going to zoom back in on the top, and I'm going to take my line tool. Now remember, we put it to 7, so now we need to select and go back to our original size of 2. And I'm going to pull this, and I'm going to make this line, instead of continuing in the same direction as the line below it, I am going to make this come out a little bit like that. See? It kind of forks off. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, about there. Okay. Then, if you can imagine a line running parallel to this line here, but going up from the corner, meaning I'm going to pull this up. So that's not parallel to this line below. That kind of is. I'm going to make a line that runs parallel to this line right here. See how that works? It's like they're going in the same direction. They're pointing at the same thing. Okay? I'm going to do the same thing over here on the other side. So here we have just like that. See? Goes parallel with this one. The last thing I'm going to do here with this part is I am going to take a line and run it directly across from one side to the other first. Then I'm going to grab my hitch points and I'm going to pull this up. And I want it to be, I don't want it to be parallel with this line here. I want it to be a little bit more pronounced in terms of how much of a curve it has. See? So it's a little bit steeper than this one below it. Okay, that looks about right. Maybe a little bit less, actually. Let's see, it's slightly steeper. Okay, good. Now, after that, I'm going to zoom in again, and I am going to take this corner piece off here and erase that. And I will also increase my eraser size and take this off like that. So there. Now I zoom out and I've got what looks like a pretty good tower. Now if you look at castles, you'll notice that castles a lot of times, and this is called Pixabay, by the way. This is a great site where you can get royalty-free images. But if you look at castles, you can see here they have these turrets on them, right? And that's that's one of those important features that you see with castles. So we're going to put turrets on our tower. The way to do that is to come back here and zoom in on the very top. Now this doesn't have to be perfect, as I said before. Okay? But what we are going to do is we're going to take our line tool and we're going to make sure we're set on the original thickness, which is 2 in this case. We're going to pull this down and we're going to follow this line here with these lines. Just like that. And then I'm going to come over here, make this a little bit wider, follow this line here, just like that. Okay, come over here, and you see how this these squares kind of match and run parallel to this top line. That's how we want it to look exactly. Okay, now that's about right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to give it a 3-dimensional look. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take a line from the very top corner here, move it like that, and down. We're going to take another one on this side, move it like that, and down. We're going to do a little bit here because this one is facing us, so you don't see as much of the back of this one. Okay, this one is going to be very thick, like this one over here. And we're going to put it down like that. See how that works? Now we take our eraser, we're going to bring it up to about 9 or so, and we're going to erase this excess line over the top of these turrets that we no longer need. It's our guide line, but we can get rid of it now. And there you go. Get rid of this little smudge. And now you have what amounts to a castle tower.